What's up everyone, welcome back to our page, and this video I will be discussing a letter to Inland Revenue for a Section 21 company. Now the Companies Act 71 of 2008 provides for two types of company. You have a profits company and then you have a non-profit company. Now a non-profit company is described in Section 1 of the Companies Act as a company incorporated for a public benefit or other object as required by item 1, sub-item 1 of schedule or schedule 1, and the income and property of which are not distributable to its incorporators, members, directors, officers, or persons related to any of them, except to the extent permitted by item 1, sub-item 3 of schedule 1. Now, a non-profit company does not have as its aim the making of profit and must be established for a public benefit or for a purpose relating to one or more cultural or social activity or communal or group interest. A non-profit company must use all its income and property to advance and aid its stated non-profit objectives as set out in the Memorandum of Incorporation. The founding documents of the non-profit company. This means that the non-profit company may not directly or indirectly pay any portion of its income or transfer any of its property to a founder, director, or member, except as reasonable remuneration for goods delivered or services provided to the company, or as reimbursement for expenses incurred in advancing the non-profit company's objectives, and so on. Now, at the dissolution of the non-profit company, the net value of the company must go to another non-profit company which has the same or similar objectives as the dissolving non-profit company as determined by its members or directors in the Memorandum of Incorporation, or if such is not determined in the Memorandum of Incorporation, then as determined by a court. Now, the non-profit companies used to be incorporated in terms of Section 21 of the Old Companies Act 61 of 1973, which I will refer to as the Old Act, and was generally known as Section 21 companies. The Section 21 company was believed to be a public company with the relevant provisions applicable to public companies also being applied to Section 21 companies under the Old Act. However, the new Companies Act 71 of 2008 replaced the Section 21 Companies Act or Section 21 companies with non-profit companies. Under the new Companies Act, non-profit companies are not treated as public companies but are seen as entities for their own legal nature apart from that of public or private companies. Now, as non-profit companies are treated as separate entities, it also has separate requirements for its formation and registration as set out by the Companies Act. The most important documents for the formation and governance of the non-profit company is the Memorandum of Incorporation. The directors determines the rules or the conduct of the company and set them out in the Memorandum of Incorporation. Now, although the Memorandum of Incorporation can be drafted to suit the objectives of the company, the Companies Act does prescribe certain provisions that has to be contained in the Memorandum of Incorporation in order to protect the members and directors of the company. For example, the Memorandum of Incorporation must set out what the objectives of the companies are, as well as whether a company will have members or not. If it does have members, the Memorandum of Incorporation must set out how the members may elect the directors of the company, and if the company does not have members, the Memorandum of Incorporation must set out how directors are to be elected and appointed, and so on. Now, non-profit companies also have to register with the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission, the CIPC. The first step in registering a non-profit company is to reserve a name for the company at the CIPC. Once suggested name has been approved, the rest of the registration documents can be dealt with. These registration documents include Form COR 14.1, which contains an incorporation date, the company's first financial year end, company's registered address, how many initial directors there will be, and whether a name has been reserved for the company. It also includes the same form which sets out the details. So COR 14.1A, setting out the details of each director of the company to be completed for every director of the company. The Companies Act determines that the NPC that a non-profit company may not have less than 3 directors. The third form is a Form COR 15.1, which is a standard form Memorandum of Incorporation. It is a template which produced by the CIPC, which is not customized to meet the director's preferences and requirements. It may be advisable to have an attorney to draft a customized Memorandum of Incorporation, which provides for all the requirements, rules, and regulations as set out by the directors and the incorporators of the company. Now, all the forms, together with certified copies of each director's ID, must be submitted to the CIPC for the registration of the company. Now, once the company is registered, a discontinuation of printing certificates or a registration certificate will be issued by the CIPC containing all the companies and directors' information as set out in the registration documents submitted to them. The company's name will be followed by the letters NPC, like the letters Pty Ltd would follow after the name or a private company's name. It is also important to distinguish between a non-profit company and a non-profit organization. NPCs must be registered with the CIPC, while a non-profit organization must be registered with the Directorate of the Non-Profit Organization at the Department of Social Development. Now, non-profit organizations are regulated by the Non-Profit Organizations Act 71 of 1997 and can take the form of a company, association, or trust. Non-profit companies can also apply to the Directorate of the Non-Profit Organizations to be registered as a non-profit organization. Once registered at the directorate, the organization will be issued a unique NPC or non-profit company number, which can assist in providing further credibility, transparency, and accountability to the NPC, as the NPC will have to report to a public office, which is often a funding requirement for most donor funding agencies. Now, if you are planning to set up a non-profit company, it is advisable to consult a legal practitioner to assist in correctly tailoring the founding documents of the non-profit company. Consulting with a tax specialist may also be valuable to ensure potential tax benefits for a non-profit company is obtained. You can find examples of the forms on our website if you are interested in knowing more, which is www.lawyers.easyfind. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, click on the bell button for post notifications for more posts or videos like this.